What is up, RotoGrinders? 1 hour and 40 minutes nonstop. MLB DFS conversation starts right now, taking you all the way up to first pitch. Crunch time coming in early. First pitch is early, 6:40. Kind of a baby slate here on a Monday night, just a six-gamer. Got Roth coming in as well as Buell, the Chief, and TastefulTides, Tim Buell, myself, and Chop on a movie Monday. Chopper? We got to be a little bit more efficient. Although there's only 6 games, so we have plenty of time to squeeze it all in. 6-gamer, got about an hour or so until crunch time comes knocking on the door. Do want to say what's up to the chat. Kindly hit that like button on your way in. Do subscribe. Turn on those notifications. You know we go live. Chop, Monday, how are things? Everything all right?
Yeah, we're doing good. Day after Easter is always interesting one, but yeah, it's you say a little bit more efficient, but I say with only 6 games, we got plenty of time, like tons of time. So we're gonna have lots of time to kill in this show, Dean. We're gonna have to do that. But I don't know, how was your Easter yesterday?
Uneventful. That's not. I mean, I hope you enjoyed yours, but it's just a standard Sunday, for me. But yeah, how about yourself? Did you have a big spread of some sort?
Yeah, we changed things up a little bit this year, and instead of venturing to two sides, my side of the family, and then later in the day, my wife's side of the family, we just decided to change it up this year and have one big one where we hosted it.
You could be asking for it.
No, because weather was good enough. Reserved a little clubhouse by the pool, so it was like a little pool Easter. Really nice weather. Yeah, it was beautiful weather and big spread, brisket, sausage, hot dogs, all kinds of good stuff.
Texas style, get that brisket.
Yeah.
You make it or you buy it from someplace?
I don't mind making it, but everybody kind of wanted to contribute and bring their own things, so we let my mother-in-law made the brisket this year.
Yeah, kind of a potluck sort of deal. Everybody brought something.
Everybody, I mean, we didn't ask them to, but they just end up doing it. So yeah, everybody brought a little something. It was nice, Dean. It was nice, but just a little change, a little curveball for Easter instead of the old standard stuff. But it was nice, good weather. Can't complain. Holding in my hand a trivia question, ripped off from the Astros calendar. In case you guys think I'm faking that, Astros calendar.
Only like 30% of the questions are Astros related, but yeah, let's fire.
Yeah, you're right, but this one is. That's why I made sure that this one was going to be one you were going to get a crack at, and it's modern day.
Oh, okay.
But it's multiplayer, so it's going to be tougher on you. But we'll see. Maybe you just get a couple of them. You ready for this one, Dean?
Fire away.
On April 13th, 2022, the Astros matched an MLB record by using 5 pitchers born in the Dominican Republic in the same game. That had only been done by the 2006 Diamondbacks and the 2009 Royals. Can you name, I would say 5 Astros pitchers. Can you name 3 of them, Dean? They were April 3rd, 2022, Dominican. Just think about current.
I'll say Framber. Is Framber Dominican?
Framber is on the list, so he must have started that game. Now think of current Astros. It didn't have, don't have to think about going back to. Oh, these are actually pretty gettable here, Dean.
Bullpen guys, right?
I can't give you.
I'm sorry. Did you say they're only pitchers or field players as well?
Pitchers, all pitchers.
Oh yeah, dude, I don't know like the bullpen for the Astros. Brad Lidge is probably long retired. Josh Hader's not in this team.
You can
say Ryan Presley. I'm pretty sure he's not Dominican.
No, he's whiter than Casper the Ghost, man.
I don't know their bullpen as well as I should.
I feel like if you really thought about this and didn't just give up on yourself, you could have got it. But I'm gonna give me
some names. I'll be mad at myself.
Framber probably started because he's on the list. You got that one. Ronel Blanco.
Okay, out of the pen.
Yeah. Ooh. This one you'd have to try to think back pre-injury, which was a little bit over a year ago. Christian Javier coming out of the bullpen.
He was a starter too. Yeah. Okay.
But that was 2022, so he was in the bullpen at the time. Ooh, this guy had a big year, huge year. These two guys.
I'm thinking about a setup man that I'm going to.
2022 was the Astros World Series, and they had one of the most formidable bullpens of all time. Two of these guys that are on this list, Dominican, were just like front and center in that bullpen that year. Go think World Series.
It's not coming to me. It's not. I mean, I know it. It's not coming to me.
Career year for Rafael Montero.
Okay, yeah. Were the trash cans from the DR?
What?
They imported.
And this guy was he was a bullpen seventh inning guy, just a spark plug on the mound, man. Just excitement, jubilation every time he went out there. Hector Neris.
Okay. Yeah, I wasn't getting that one. I'm aware of his existence, but
you don't remember Hector?
I know bullpens good, bullpens bad. I know the big names, but I don't really know, the belly of every bullpen. But I was gonna say Abreu. Was Abreu not in that team, or is he not Dominican? Did he not play in that game?
Which one? Who, Brian?
Yeah, I'm not sure if he was. Somebody said
he certainly was a big time figure. He must not be Dominican though.
Yeah,
Brian Abreu might be like Mexican. I'm not sure.
I'm not sure of his origin either, but maybe he just didn't pitch in that game.
No. Oh yeah, you're right.
Chop. I got nothing for you. I'm sorry. 1 for 5.
Yeah, you tried, but hey, I'm an Astros guy, so I would have probably guessed a few of them, but that's just me. But then again, it's 2022 World Series. I'm pretty in tune with that roster. I think that was pretty special stuff. So
sure,
yeah,
fun team. All right, 6-gamer tonight. Oh, it's a movie Monday. Let's go ahead and get that started because again, we're stepping aside pretty early. Right around 6 o'clock, you got chief meteorologist Kevin Roth coming in. I should go ahead and drop the Ross weather reports. Nothing really to get concerned about just yet. Green, yellow in Atlanta, kind of sort of standard with their possible pop-ups. I'll let you guys read this at your own leisure. I'm giving it a refresh. It's also green, yellow for the Mets. Straight green in Detroit. Green in Cleveland, but that game is not on our slate. I think it's a 6-10 game if you're doing something showdown or bets or player props of that sort. It is clean in Cleveland. First clue today on a movie Monday. Well, Chop, you already have a guess. I didn't realize it was scrolling already. Yeah, clue number 1 is mystery. Mystery is clue number 1, and your guess was 7. It is not 7. It is not 7. Spectacular movie, but it is not. It is not 7. Mystery is the first clue, and you guys know there's probably a couple people out there maybe aren't aware. You get yourself a week free of RG Premium, football, baseball, basketball, hockey, MMA, PGA, everything you can think of with the exception of NASCAR, all the bells, all the whistles, the optimizers, the article, the expert rankings. And then we pump out there. You get a week free of RG Premium. Just be the first person to tell me what movie I'm talking about in the Discord. Only the Discord, RotoGrinders.com/Discord. The live stream chat channel. It is a free Discord channel. Most of the Discord channels are free. And just taking a peek, I'm very tilted. Last time out, we had somebody hit a hole-in-one on me. So hopefully it doesn't happen once again. Somebody binked our last movie on 1, and that tilts me, Chop. That does tilt me. I don't want to make it too difficult, but I don't want to make it where it's super super easy. But there you go. Get your guesses in the Discord. 6-gamer tonight, Chop. Not all the lineups out just yet. We do have some West Coast stuff. The Giants, Robbie Ray on the slate, which is going to be a big sticking point on the slate for me. We'll talk about it. Robbie Ray throwing baseballs against the Brewers. You never really know where those baseballs are going to go. They could be wide right, wide left. Sometimes he just strikes people out. And when people hit the ball against them, the ball goes in the air too. So he's the Adam Dunn of pitchers. I don't know. A true 3-outcome pitcher, strikeout, walk, fly ball, homer. That's kind of sort of what he produces. But, of course, that ballpark should protect him. And Vegas is at least saying that Milwaukee is not very good with a 3.5 total. No Toronto lineup just yet. No Christian Walker, by the way, for Houston. They have Zach DeZenzo up. I'm not sure if he was just called up. I know he's been in the team before. He had a cup of coffee. You probably know about DeZenzo. Is this his first time with the team this year?
No, he's been on the bench the whole year.
He's been up and down. He hasn't started many games. Walker is taking his seat. The Marlins called up their prize prospect, Ramirez. He was the number one pick. He was the best player to come back in the Jazz Chisholm trade. A lot of power there. I think he's on FanDuel at 2K. Not that you need to roster a catcher on FanDuel, and not that salary is a huge deal tonight, but he's got some pop in his bat. Of note, just kind of note, put that in your back pocket. Unfortunately, not on DK where he's like a flat punt. Yeah, 2K on FanDuel, 2K on DK, of course, more useful. The Marlins taking on the Reds, who dropped, 24 runs yesterday? I think 7 or 8 of those were against like Jorge Mateo and, shortstops or something like that. But, yeah, Cincinnati absolutely broke the slate the other day. What else do we have of note as far as lineups? Kerry Carpenter not in Detroit. He left yesterday's game. There was a chance he could play. I think he was projected at some point, but he's not in there for Detroit. Not on the IL, so just note that. I did see Javi Baez might start playing some center field. I don't know if you caught that. But, you got to keep that bat in the lineup, right? You got to find a spot for him somewhere on the field. Anything else as far as lineups? I don't think so, unless I missed any players that we're expecting to play that are no longer playing. Yeah, Candelario for Cincinnati is another one, I suppose, if you're expecting him. He is not in. Marte is in there. Once upon a time. What do you got, John?
I gotta change my survey now.
Oh, you had Candelario?
As my sneaky home run of the day.
Is that the worst? I know it's not the worst, but it is the worst. So we have to circle back and, world's smallest violin playing for us doing content. But, you got to circle back and write up something new. Actually, you just need to put a name there, right? Just you don't have to put an actual blurb there, just a name. Who's going to be your sneaky home run call? Anything else of notes before we fully dive in and talk about the slate? Team totals today, they're not very high. Atlanta's the highest one, right around 5. Getting Alex Verdugo in there has kind of helped. They've been pretty good since he's joined the team. Former biggest piece in the terrible Mookie Betts trade with Boston. Still waiting for Acuna, obviously. Taking on Eric Fetty, one of the weaker pitchers, and also one of the better environments in Atlanta, where it's going to be in the 80s. Otherwise, a lot of spots where weather's not great, pitchers are pretty good, environment's not great in Miami. The Mets, of course. If this game was in Philly, I think it'd be much more popular, Philadelphia and the Mets. But not the best weather in New York, and it's not the best ballpark to hit baseballs as well. Anything you want to say as far as big picture, or shall we dive in and discuss some pitchers?
I think it's best to dive in, Dean, and do it.
All right. As far as pitchers, top pitcher on the board is Schwellenbach. As far as ownership, it's a tricky. I think we should kind of start at Robbie Ray, actually. I think Robbie Ray is the most interesting pitcher because 7.5 on DK, which just seems too cheap when you consider his potential upside. But the floor is so bad. If you look at this season's stats, Chop, who's got the biggest walk rate? Well, it's Robbie Ray at 17.6%, which is completely unacceptable. The Ks are 24.7%, which is pretty good. The ballpark is great as well. And we're getting a discount. I don't know what to do with them. Optimizers are probably going to say to play him in cash. I'm not playing cash for this reason. I just didn't want to have to deal with that conundrum. I think I'm going to be lower than the field. And we currently have Ray as being the most popular pitcher on DK, almost 30%, Schwellenbach 25. Lodolo, great ballpark event against Miami, 26%. That's a massive ballpark shift. Of course, he's used to pitching in Cincinnati, which is one of the biggest, if not the biggest, home run havens in Major League Baseball. And then there are a couple guys that aren't necessarily what they once were, but still, they can still do it. Nola, Gausman, not exactly the same guys. And of course, your Hunter Brown, who's really good, but taking on a team that's, it's been really contact heavy so far this season. So what is his upside? And you got to pay a lot. You got to pay a lot to get there. So there's a lot of guys I'm willing to roster. There's certainly, Fetty I'm not playing, Priester I'm not playing, Montero, I know in a small sample, he's at least had some Ks. We did it, stretch it back to last season. I'm not excited. Randy Vasquez is a no-go for me. I have a clear dividing line as far as who's potentially in the bucket and who's not. How about you? How are you seeing the slate? And I really want that Robbie Ray take.
Well, yeah, I'm kind of I'm not seeing anything dominant out there, that's for sure. Like I don't understand some of the ownership that's out there right now, so I guess that's good if you're playing GPPs. You can get away from it pretty easily, and it doesn't really hurt your feelings to do it. I think Spencer Schwellenbach starting at the top there. I think he's the top projected guy for the bat tonight. I don't know that I love that one. I think that there's some things that I mean, it's not a bad Arizona. It's not a bad St. Louis lineup. I'll put it like that. And he hasn't been like dominant this year. He's been all right. He had a really good start against Miami, but who doesn't? And then his next couple starts after that were pretty ho-hum, not great. I don't know I don't know how much talent he's got. And the St. Louis lineup is. I was looking at them earlier. I forget what I wrote down, but they weren't bad. They got some good pieces to their. Let me see. Oh yeah, they have some strikeouts in that lineup, but they also have some guys who hit for power against right-handed pitchers. They do have some of that. I'm going to see if I pull them up real quick. Yeah, so Lars Newbar is having a good year. Then you come down with Contreras, who's a really solid hitter for his position. They throw in some left-handers, which give him a little bit of problems. Brennan Donovan, Alec Burleson. Nolan Gorman hadn't even heated up yet. He's a much better hitter than what he's shown. And so, yeah, they've got some pop in that lineup. Not really liking Schwellenbach.
These splits are pretty dramatic, right? As far as the Ks, as far as the power yielded. I should include this season as well. Just last season, but let me go ahead and pull up both on Plate IQ. But yeah, 28.7% as far as Ks versus righties, 21.8 versus lefties. That's a bit of a dip. The ISO jumps from 132 versus righties to 187 versus lefties. The WOBA 314. It's all a little bit too high. Newbar you mentioned has been solid. Gorman has shown plenty of power versus righties throughout his career. There are some Ks in this lineup. This is the other part of it. Like a lot of these guys are contact guys. A lot of these guys are strikeout guys. Walker, Gorman, Pages, and Scott at the bottom. The tricky thing is like, I think he's still one of the best, pitchers on the slate as far as most skilled. If we stretch this back to last season, let's see, top Sierra on the board is Schwellenbach by a good bit, 3.39. Nola's right there. Brown's right there. McGill, Lodolo knocking on the door. If Schwellenbach's not your guy, and he's the most popular guy, so and I understand why you wouldn't fully get there because there's some power, but I think I'm pretty sure I'm in on Schwellenbach as my top guy. If not Schwellenbach, then who? Is it Lodolo? Is it Brown? Is it Ray? Is it Meyer?
So yeah, it's who's the top guy? I've got two guys. Well, I tell you what, the lineup came out for Toronto. I didn't like it for Hunter Brown, so I might bump him down a notch here. I was going to say Hunter Brown as one of. I guess Nick Lodolo is my favorite option just because of the matchup and the fact that I know he has big time K upside that he hasn't shown this year. But I think he can get back to that. So Lodolo's my favorite. Now you talked about Robbie Ray. I don't understand the ownership here. I get the K's, right. But nobody's priced egregious on this whole pitching slate. Like nobody's even over $9,500. Like it's not that hard. So I don't understand. I get the team total is really low against him, so that helps. And the strikeouts are there. He has a good strikeout upside. He also walks more than almost twice as many batters as anybody else on the slate. He can really get you there, and he can give up the home run after he walks a couple of guys. He can give up a home run. All of a sudden, he's ruined the whole slate for you. So I don't get the Robbie Ray. I'm kind of underweight on him. I'm with you in your thoughts on Robbie Ray.
Well, I don't know what my thoughts are. My thoughts are I'm conflicted.
Well, you say you weren't going to play cash just because you didn't have to mess with it.
I just don't know.
So in GPPs, I can just go underweight and not have to worry. But I'm just running one lineup on DraftKings, and then Robbie Ray won't be on that lineup unless I absolutely love the other guys in there, and I have to have a guy 7,500 or less. That's the only thing. But I don't think that's going to be the case. But I was highlighting Hunter Brown earlier in the day, but I don't like it. I mean, now that I'm looking at it more, somebody just ring the doorbell. My dog's going crazy.
That Toronto lineup is just, it's kind of pesky.
Well, I've talked about this before. What I would consider a high strikeout guy. They've got 0 high strikeout guys in this whole lineup tonight. None. And when we say, and we're not like borderline, to me, 25% or more, you're a high strikeout guy. These guys aren't even borderline. There's nobody in this lineup over this season and last season that's combined for that has more than 19% K rate against right-handed. It sucks because Hunter Brown might be the most talented guy on the slate. Sometime around this time last year, he discovered throwing sinkers to right-handers was a thing, and it changed everything about him. And he's been a Cy Young guy since then. I don't think he's given up an earned run in the last 17 innings, I think is what the number is. It's been great. But, man, this is tough to strike guys out in this lineup, and that's what you need in DFS. So, great real-life pitcher. Not so sure I want to use him tonight in DFS. And so those are like Schwellenbach, Hunter Brown, Lodolo. I could get behind Robbie Ray. I don't like him as much. Then we can start talking about the other guys after that, which I think are a little bit a tier down, but there's some possibilities in this next tier too.
Well, the other part of it is that you kind of referenced it. It's not that hard to get Hunter Brown, and he's probably not going to strike out 10, right? Nobody probably strikes out 10. If somebody does, it might be Robbie Ray, because, like dating back to last season, Ray's got the biggest K rate on the slate, 29.9% by far. Also the highest swinging strikeout rate. Okay, here's the bad stuff. Highest fly ball rate, the highest walk rate at 14%, the highest barrel rate at 13.2%. So he is the biggest variance pitcher. I know Cheese writes about it, talks about it all the time, talked about it today. The Robbie Ray rule: when he's popular, you don't play him. When he's not popular, you play him. And you're supposed to, I think you're supposed to have a couple of Milwaukee stacks just in case things completely implode. And I know the ballpark stinks, and I'd like Milwaukee a lot more if the game was in Milwaukee, but it is what it is. And if Ray's is going to walk everybody and just you need a couple big hits, certainly the ball does go over the fence on occasion in San Fran. Kirkwood, our boy Kirk Dees in chat, says he's a masochist when it comes to Robbie Ray. I think that means he's playing him. I think that's his way of saying he's playing him. I'm going to have some, and I'm kind of riding, but I'm going to play it both ways. I'm not making just one lineup. I'm making a lot of lineups. So I'm still going to play some Milwaukee and then going to play some Ray. But I'm not here to tell you definitively, well, this is what he's going to do tonight, because honestly, I have no clue. And if you watch him, sometimes it changes like inning to inning, where he looks like the best pitcher in the world, and then he comes back out the next inning and like he just cannot find the strike zone. We saw it earlier in the year where I think he was throwing a no-hitter or a perfect game through 4 or 5 and just completely imploded the next inning. These things just happen with him more so than pretty much anybody else. Let's drop that second clue for Movie Monday. I don't believe he got a winner. Let's take a peek at the Discord. I don't think we have one. I'd be very upset. Cannot let the people win, back-to-back times at banking it on just one clue. The second clue, Chop, this will change things, maybe, is rhyme. Rhyme is the second clue. You know what's funny is that I always give the list to producer Steve, and his guess was Scooby-Doo, and like several people, like 3 or 4 people guessed Scooby-Doo. So that was a popular guess. So it was a good guess, but it is not Scooby-Doo, for the record.
Well, first of all, Dean, I want to say, Jug Nation, rise up. The great Kirk Dees is in chat. Jug Nation, rise up.
You say that, but you're not a juggalo. You can't name any songs by ICP.
Shaggy Too Dope.
Yeah, and Violent J.
And Violent. What do you mean? I'm not a Jug Nation guy, man. I've listened to some. Okay. Insane Clown Posse in the past.
You ever been to The Gathering?
It was like 20 years ago.
Chop, how much would I have to pay you to spend a weekend at The Gathering at the Juggalos? What's the starting price?
Well, let's just. I'm not into leaving my house very much anymore, so I probably wouldn't do it.
5K?
I don't even know if I'd do it for that. Like, there's a Kendrick Lamar is like the big popular guy, right? Like these days, and there's a Kendrick Lamar concert coming up on Wednesday right down the road, and
you're not going?
I could go. I have a path to go to that concert, but I'm not going.
Is he a Houston guy? I don't know where he's from.
No, but it's I think it's the second date on his new tour. So it's a fresh tour he just opened up. So he's hitting the Texas parts here. This week right here. He's hitting Houston and Dallas and Texas stuff.
You just don't want. It's not worth it. Not worth the hassle.
Yeah, not worth it. I mean, I did
the house. What concert would get you out of
the
the
national championship game got me out of the house in San
Yeah.
Antonio. That was awesome, but like concerts.
Is there a musical act? A movie? Or maybe that's a precursor to later on.
Yeah, don't no spoilers on that. Let's see, music. What would get me? What you know? What there was? I'm not gonna lie, Dean. About 4 years ago, Vanilla Ice was in San Antonio, and I was like, I looked at my wife and I said, "Should we go? Should we go?" Like I was thinking about it, and she said, "Hell no," and I was like, "Okay, you don't want to go." I was thinking about it. So
your wife made the right call, by the way.
Maybe something.
It sounds
like
more
that.
fun in practice than actually doing it. I think.
I don't know. Maybe Pearl Jam. I've never seen Pearl Jam. It's kind of always been something that I've heard people talk about. I've heard people talk about it and how good it is, but now they're so old, I don't even know if they would have the same style of concert they used to.
They're still awesome. They're still rocking. They're playing actually down here this week, and tickets are insane because they're playing at the Hard Rock. It's not a huge venue. It's like 5,000 people, and it's like $5K or something. You know, I was looking at the tickets and ridiculous. I saw them like 20 years ago, and they were awesome. And you know, whatever, I could check it off the list. But if you ever get a chance, I would recommend seeing Pearl Jam in concert. Best concert you ever been to, John?
Man, that's a tough one, Dean. Probably. Well, it have to be like a asterisk. Best concert I can remember going to, because there were some Houston Livestock Show rodeo concerts that were awesome. But man, I was so hammered I don't even remember the shows. But that I can remember going to. I mean, Dave Matthews Band was pretty awesome out there at the Woodlands Pavilion in Houston.
Saw him like 20 years ago. Yeah. Get across, check that off the. Are they still doing their thing? I feel like he's been touring forever, but I don't know if they're still.
Oh yeah, probably.
He's still popping up in Adam Sandler movies as well. Let me know in chat. What's the best concert you ever saw? Let me know in chat. Nobody's guessed just yet as far as today's Movie Monday. That is good. Chop, you're still a guest behind. Anything else you want to say as far as pitchers? Anything you want to reiterate? The pool, again, I think it's pretty clear as far as who's potentially in the bucket. Wu-Tang and Rage. And
listen, Dean, I'm about to drop a guess for you. I just now thought about something. Okay, you ready?
Yeah, what do you got? All right.
Oh, this is because it's topical too, so this has got to be it.
That is not it.
How is that not it, Dean?
Good movie, though.
Golly, man.
Front row of the Scorpions. Now, wait, the Scorpions and Scorpions, that's the same thing? I think the 80s hair metal band? The Scorpions and Scorpion. Is that two different things? Death Cab for Cutie with Cold War Kids and Raw Riot. There you go. Rush. I respect Rush. Like, it's really talented and impressive what they do, but I never really feel like listening to Rush. They're fine, but I never got it. I never really fully got Rush. I don't know if you're a Rush guy. Tom Petty, spectacular. Never saw Tom Petty, unfortunately. Some good names being thrown out there in chat. All right. Anything else you want to say as far as pitchers? Shall we move on and talk about our hitters, our stacks?
I mean, I think we hit on all the major stuff at pitching, so I think we can move on now.
Kirkwood said he saw Biggie Smalls back in the day. Look at that.
Oh man, R.I.P. Biggie.
It's Electric Zoo Day, 2000. I don't know what that is. Is that the glow sticks? And like, what is Electric Zoo Day? I don't know what that is. Producer Steve's got to hop on and explain that. That's something he was at. I assume that's some kind of a electronica that just I guess I'm too old to kind of get, but I don't know. I'm sure it was spectacular. Nelly and Blake Shelton at the same concert? Did they do a crossover thing? Did they do a song together? I feel like okay. I know Blake Shelton did a crossover.
Nelly did a crossover country thing.
That's okay.
That was it.
All right, fair enough. Now Kirkwood's saying Naughty by Nature and Run DMC. Lots of names being thrown out there. Oh, two separate concerts. Okay, I didn't think that Blake Shelton and Nelly toured together. I guess it's possible. But all right. Third clue. Let's drop a third clue before we talk about our stacks. Third clue today for Movie Monday is Cape. So mystery, rhyme, and cape. Those are our 3 clues. Chop, we have to open up stacks. Just 12 teams to talk about. We'll throw them in our tiers. Today's tier board was made by you, inspired by, I guess, recent events, right? Recent happenings. So tell the people what today's tier board is.
Okay, guys, I'm gonna preface this by saying, please, no spoilers in chat. Okay,
Don't be a jerk.
Please, yeah, don't be the jerk. But I've seen a lot of stuff keeps popping up in my timeline about Sinners and how good it is, and I already wanted to see it. I haven't seen it yet. Sinners, the movie, that's freshly out. So yeah, it's definitely on the list to watch in the theater relatively soon. So I'm gonna head out to do that at some point here this week, probably.
They say to see the theater. They say it's a good theater.
Yeah, they say to see it in IMAX. It was designed to be watched in IMAX the best. So kind of trying to figure that one out where I can get to it. But so no spoilers on that one, but it's inspired by Sinners is the movie board today, even though I haven't seen it. So I want to go back and we're going to rank some top vampire movies, top and bottom vampire movies of all time. Now remember, just because it doesn't make the list doesn't mean I don't consider it a great movie, or I don't consider it not a bad movie, or what. It can only have one name at every tier.
Where's Nosferatu, Chop? Come on.
I didn't even know what that was when you mentioned it earlier, but
it actually just came out and the people loved it. I haven't seen it either. I'm not a big vampire guy, so I just kind of stayed out of this one.
So this is vampire movies. This is vampire movies or vampire themed or what have you. So this is where I ranked them.
Abe Lincoln Vampire Hunter. I forgot that was a thing. How high was the dude that came up with that? But go ahead, continue.
So I'm going number 1 tier. This could have been several movies, but From Dusk Till Dawn, still to this day, even after all this time, if I catch that one on the TV, I'm watching it. Like, it's just a good movie. Just some great actors in it. George Clooney is awesome. Selma Hayek at her. That was like, she was primo back then, man. It's such a good movie. So you got that one. I'm going to put that one up there. The Lost Boys deserve to be somewhere up in those top 2. That was a really good movie back in the day. So rocking the Lost Boys at number 2. Again, the cast was just like incredible for that time. I'll put Abe Lincoln at number 3, which is a pretty neutral tier here for us, because I know a lot of people like you are going to laugh at it, but I thought it was entertaining.
Was it fun?
I wouldn't watch it again probably, but yeah. I thought it was entertaining at the time, so I'm not hating on it. So I'm putting it in that neutral part. The only reason Blade Trinity isn't dead last is because I have to show some respect to the Blade franchise, but the first 2 being awesome, Wesley Snipes being awesome, but when you get to the third one, should have never made it, so it's going to be pretty low. And then dead last, I don't even know how many people watched
the Netflix movie, with Jamie Foxx, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan of Jamie Foxx and all that good stuff, but this one probably he could have kept this one, and not signed off on that script, and I think we'd have all been better for it. So Day Shift with Jamie Foxx goes down there.
Yeah, but the original Blade is too good. You can't put it like in 3 or 4, right? That's why you didn't put the original Blade on there. I imagine that's what's going on.
It's just not that, but just you just can't. I got to decide Blade or From Dusk Till Dawn.
Yeah,
I'm going From Dusk Till Dawn.
I was thinking of Dracula, Dead and Loving It, the Mel Brooks, Leslie Nielsen movie, or Vampire in Brooklyn, Eddie Murphy, which supposedly. I mean, I know it's considered to be one of the worst movies in his catalog, and that's saying a lot because he's got some good ones, but a lot of bad ones as well. Did you ever see that back in the day? Maybe you haven't. Maybe you blocked it out. But and the people in chat are not happy. They want Nosferatu, I think, in the chat. Okay, let's go ahead.
I don't even know what that is, Dan.
I think it's like a Dracula story. I think it's basically a Dracula story, kind of knockoff of Dracula, but don't hold me to it. And yeah, Twilight did not make an appearance. I thought Twilight would make an appearance in some way or another.
Listen, I'm not bumping anybody from here to put somebody else up there, but Twilight probably would have been in that second tier with the Lost. Twilight, I didn't mind Twilight. I didn't mind it at all. You get your little a big wolf in there too. Yeah, get some good stuff going on.
Let's drop that 4th clue for Movie Monday as we talk about our tiers, or throw some teams in these tiers. 4th clue is chip. So it's mystery, rhyme, cape, and chip. That is our 4 clues. We have 5, one more on layaway. We'll have an emergency clue if necessary. About 20, 25 minutes. We have Will coming in, as well as Chief Meteorologist Kevin Roth, TastefulTides Tim as well. Okay, let's do it. Let's throw some teams and some tiers. Did we get all of our lineups? Are we getting more lineups? Still waiting on a couple. I guess we got Toronto, so that's nice that we at least got them. Okay, finding my pages here. The Reds taking on the Marlins. It's kind of a coin toss here. Lodolo taking on Max Meyer. Meyer's, a lot of promise, and maybe it's starting to come to fruition. Negative ballpark shift massively for Cincinnati. We talked about them putting that 24 spot against Baltimore last time out. You still have a lot of cheap guys around Ellie De La Cruz. Of course, one of the best hitters. Jack in the bag potential. You can bang one out. You can swipe one. You can do both. Not in the same at bat. That's not possible. But just a spectacular fantasy player. 4 total on both sides because, again, this ballpark is not conducive to runs. We did mention Ramirez making his debut for the Mets, the key piece in the Jazz Chisholm trade. Available on FanDuel at 2K. I think he's playable. He's got some power in that bat. Not available on DK. Reds, Marlins, what do you got?
We have Reds Marlins is the tale of 2 teams because Cincinnati is going to go up top and Miami is going to go down below. I'm putting Cincy in from dusk till dawn. Like you said, there's multiple ways this stack can get there. There's some power potential tonight, but there's always the speed potential too to kill you on the base pass. So I like that aspect of it. So Cincinnati's going up top, and spoiler, there's not a lot of love up top. So Cincinnati, that's a pretty good position to be in. Miami, I'm just not gonna. Nick Lodolo, I think, is a pretty good pitcher. He's gonna find that his K rate, this year it's drastically fallen down for some reason. I think he'll get that back. His velocity came back up last start, so at some point he'll rebound from that. It's just a weak lineup. I was just looking up and down the lineup like I can't do it, So I'm going with tier 5 for Miami. You're on mute, Dean. I can't.
Conine got hurt. He separated his shoulder, so I guess he'll be out for a bit. If you're looking at Miami's lineup and saying, why does it look a little bit worse than it normally looks? That's one of the reasons why, because Conine is not available. Okay. Next team, moving on. Randy Vasquez versus Montero, 8.5 total in Detroit. I think this is one of the better spots for hitters. 2 of the weaker pitchers taking the bump. We do have Gavin Cheats batting second. Luis Arraez, bummer yesterday, got concussed. Looked like it was really, really serious. Thankfully, it's probably not going to be that bad because I know he's back in the locker room after a visit to the hospital. He was knocked out of the game, collision at first base. It was pretty ugly, but I think he's going to be okay. Like it seems to be some positivity around that. He was walking around. So no Arraez. Sheets hits the 2-hole. Tatis, Sheets, Machado, Bogarts. As far as Detroit, we mentioned before, no Kerry Carpenter. That lineup is a little bit weak in the absence of Carpenter. Not in the IL, but not in the lineup today. Where do we have Detroit and San Diego against 2 of the more vulnerable pitchers on the ball?
This is 2 good spots here for these guys. So I've got both of these ranked relatively high. I'm going Detroit in tier 2, the Lost Boys. I think it becomes, you can do what you want with your stacks, but sometimes I like to just go by the numbers, and the numbers tell you this is a pretty easy stack if you're just jamming in left-handers here, man. And maybe you get a couple of appearances against Randy Vasquez, who's consistently struggled against lefties and doesn't strike anybody out right or left. And so, I definitely like that stack for Detroit, especially the left-handed stack. San Diego is going in tier 1 for me. I like it. Montero's just not, I'd say a below average pitcher is being pretty fair, average at best, but below average probably. There's nothing about him that stands out. He's not going to strike guys out. He's going to give up hard contact, gives up home runs, gives up plenty of base hits to lefties and righties, so he doesn't discriminate either way. So I'm going San Diego in tier 1, even though I think the lineup, like you said last week, it is a shallow lineup, but it's okay. They've got, this thing is fluid, but when you talk about who's the best hitter in the game, it's fluid. But Fernando Tatis might be the best hitter right now. He's
pretty awesome.
I think he just got named Player of the Week too. He's hitting the ball well. He saw the ball really well all weekend. I like the San Diego staff, especially at the top of the order.
Yeah, like Maldonado, Wade, Iglesias. It's really bad at the bottom, but certainly there's certainly ways to salary is the thing too, and they're cheap and they kind of make stuff work, and they have the ability. They are professionally trained to hit baseballs. So, where did you put Detroit? I'm not seeing Detroit on the board here.
The Lost Boys, tier 2.
Okay. Producer Steve is doing his multitasking, so trying his best to keep up with the conversation. All right, next game. It is Producer Steve's Mets. They're at home taking on the Phillies. Tyler McGill, Aaron Nola. 50 degrees, kind of a crosswind here. Bad ballpark, as is some really good hitters. Polar Bear doesn't mind the cold. He's been awesome so far this year. Lindor had that walk-off the other day. Stotts still leading off here for Philly. Turner, Harper, Schwarber. You mentioned Schwarber earlier as being one of the top hitters in the slate. I don't necessarily agree with that. Like, I think he's always playable and his power is awesome. He can bang out too, and nobody's surprised. But this to me is not the greatest spot, just considering the ballpark. But again, when he hits it, doesn't matter what ballpark. Yosemite, it's still going to go when he gets a hold of it. Where do you have the Phillies and the Metropolitans?
Phillies and the Mets. So this is not an offensive fireworks game, in my opinion. I'm going to put New York in tier 3 against Nola, who has not been quite as dominant this year as he has in the past. But he's just good enough to maybe keep a good offense at bay for a little bit. So I'm just going to go tier 3 for New York. I'm kind of on the fence about them. Philly against McGill, I don't like them. I don't like their ability to maybe get the ball out of the park tonight. So I'm putting them in tier 4. The Blade Trinity tier. McGill's not bad. Not bad at all. By the numbers, he's probably just as good as Nola, and probably a little younger. So I don't know if that means anything to you, but he's good at keeping the ball in the ballpark, and there's good bullpens on both these teams. So I'm not a big offense on here, but I'm gonna go tier 3 and tier 4 for these two teams.
Chop, your guesses of Kiss Kiss Bang Bang and Cape Fear are both incorrect. Somebody actually just got it right in the Discord. Somebody may have said it correctly in the YouTube, but we know official guesses are only in the Discord. And this person knows. They know the rules. They've been around long enough. They like to play their own game, which is fine, by all means. If you don't want to go to Discord, you want to stay up to grid.
I can't guess anymore. Somebody already got it.
Yeah. The last clue, just for fun, is no charge. No charge. Mystery, rhyme, cape, chip, no charge. Cardinals at Atlanta, 8.5 is the total. The Braves have a total above 5. The only team that has total above 5. It's Schwellenbach taking Eric Fetty. We have seen if he's got a hiccup, it's against lefties. There are some decent lefties in this St. Louis lineup with Nootbaar. Burleson, Gorman has shown some power as well. You got a cheap Verdugo leading off for Atlanta, probably in your cash games. Matt Olson's still really, really cheap on FanDuel. He's starting to heat up. I dug in the other day and diagnosed and talked about how all the advanced stuff says he's been great, with the exception of just not putting the ball in the air enough. But, he looks awesome on FanDuel, especially. Atlanta as a whole looks pretty good. Where do you have the Braves and the Cards?
Start off with the Cardinals. They're going to slide into the Abe Lincoln Vampire Hunter category. The only reason why they're probably not lower is because, you get a little bit of leverage here on a heavily owned pitcher, Spencer Schwellenbach. And like we've been saying so far, there is some pop in the lineup. There's some strikeouts, but there's some pop too. So tier 3, because you just never know. If you're playing the flagship GPPs where you got to beat out 60,000 other teams or something like that, it's a path. So, yeah, you can go there, tier 3. Atlanta's going up to tier 2. It's a good offense tonight going against Eric Fetty. You got good projections all the way around for all these guys in this lineup. I like it. There's some potential here. I don't know. They started off slow. I don't know if you caught the Acuna tweet yesterday, but he's not happy. He's not happy in Atlanta. He's on his way out.
What did he say?
Like I think Jared Kalenic didn't run out some fly ball or something, and the manager came out after the game, and I don't say he didn't defend him, but he certainly didn't prosecute him, right? Persecute him. And Acuna tweeted, "Oh well, if that was me, I would have got the I forget what he said.
They would take me out of the game. I just pulled it up. I think it before. I think it happened before.
Yeah.
Maybe,
So, I don't know. Maybe there's a little tension there. But anyway, the lineups are kind of coming back around. I want to put them in tier 2 because I think there's some potential tonight.
All right. By the way, I just pulled it up. I was curious, like with the cast of Abe Lincoln, Vampire Hunter. You know, Anthony Mackie was in that. Like, he wasn't a big deal back in 2012. I don't think so. Was that one of his first roles? I'm not sure, but yeah, I don't think they had the best cast. I would imagine at the time. Yeah, I was just curious who was in Abe Lincoln, Vampire Hunter. He wasn't the lead, but he was one of the top 3 or 4 people. All right, we got 2 more games to go. We have crunch time coming in about 10 minutes or so. Chief Mineralogist Kevin Roth. You got Will and Tim taking you home. If you're not aware, first pitch tonight, 6:40. So that's why we're bumping everything up. We did get a Toronto lineup. No Milwaukee and the Giants just yet. That is a later game, the latest game on the slate, 9:45 on the East Coast. Astros, your Astros, taking on Kevin Gausman, Hunter Brown. You know, Hunter Brown, Gausman, 2 pretty good pitchers, 7.5 total. We mentioned there's no Christian Walker tonight. DeZenzo drawing the start here for Houston. Gausman is kind of like neutral, so like that's why I like Houston a little bit here, Chop. We talk about how right-handed they are. They faced the most righties and more than anybody else, the least amount of lefties this season. Gausman at least is like a righty that's not like he doesn't have this dramatic split. So I think you can play Houston players in the righties as well. Your thoughts? It is a George Springer revenge game, not the first one, but I suppose I don't know how vengeful he is these days. Vladdy, by the way, really, really cheap on FanDuel. He's like 3K over there. 2.8. I rounded up. That is no. He's 3K. I was looking at Santander, also a pretty good price. How do you feel about the Blue Jays and the Astros?
Not great about these offenses, to be honest with you. I've got them both in tier 4. Blade Trinity. Not super stoked about. Certainly not about going against Hunter Brown. Could he blow up? Sure. Like, it could happen. It's been a while, though. Like I said, man, I kind of highlighted earlier in the show what he did, tweaks he made with his arsenal, and how good he's been since then. So if you're going to get a blow up on him, it's the rarity these days. So I'm not sure that's the stack you really want. They didn't have to dip into the bullpen yesterday with Hader or Abreu. So maybe, the leverage arms are available tonight if you need them in a close game. So that's not a great path right there for Toronto. On the flip side, Gausman, like you said, I don't know. He's kind of neutral these days. He's not striking out as many guys as he once did, but this offense, man, is still struggling, just struggling a lot. It's going to go where Jordan is going to, when Jordan gets hot, this whole offense will take off and explode. But until then, it's just kind of like it's not great right now. So Gausman has this repertoire down in the zone that's probably going to give him fits. So I'm kind of out on both these offenses. I'll put them in tier 4.
We saw the breakout game from Cam Smith last week. That was the slate, Chop. I was big on the Astros. I had him with some Boston, and I had Cam Smith and Trevor Story, who like had a combined like 4 homers and in the same lineup. And it was one of those where like you just got, oh man, if only had this guy instead of that guy, take everything down. And that's just how this stuff works. But yeah. And like,
what is your opinion, Dean, on a guy like Cam Smith, where he should be in the minor? Theoretically, especially a few years ago, you would have made sure he's in the minors so you can get that extra year down the road under team control. He was just in college this time last year playing baseball. He's super young. Where do you stand on that? What is your opinion on that, Dean?
I mean, he's getting major league experience. It's probably a case by case thing, It's tricky because some players probably get ruined, right? You mentioned Jake Kelnick earlier, and he might be ruined now, and maybe he just never was going to get there. But he was a guy that struggled all the time. And then what's always weird is you have these quad A guys that smash in AAA, and every time you bring them up, they stink. You send them back down, they smash, and there's just no league for them to exist in, right? So I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. And who's he replacing? Whose job is he taking? Tommy Pham, I don't know who's like that sort of level, like the 35-year-old vet that's still kind of hanging on. Get him the experience, but like if it's a mental thing and it kind of like wears on somebody, maybe you got to send them down. But let them get their bumps in, right? Well, why not? And not like like Boston's calling up their guys, and we'll see with Anthony. I'm curious how that's going to work out with Anthony. I saw he has like it's small sample size stuff, like a 37% barrel rate. so far in the minors. Like, who's he going to replace in Boston? Nobody's, fringe players. Their lineup is not amazing. So I think for the most part, like, get on the experience, and they're also cheap now, right? This is when they're the cheapest. Do you have a general thought on this?
Completely torn on it. I mean, because right now, while I think it's beneficial, boy, you're gonna like 5 years from now or 4 years from now when they're going into that last year under team control, and you got to worry about a big time extension. You're gonna think, damn, if I only had one more year under this team control. So it's a catch-22 for sure.
Yeah, but there's certain guys just kind of like Bryce Harper, you just sort of know, like J-Rod, you just sort of know, and you call them up, and that's that. And Anthony might be that guy for Boston, by the way. But there's not a lot of those type of guys where it's just like super obvious. It's kind of case by case, and you got to see where everybody's at mentally. And Walker, that's another one for St. Louis. He's like 22 years old. And it's like, this guy's a bust, and he could have been in the minors the last 2 years smashing. And everybody's like, man, I can't wait for Walker to come up for St. Louis. He's going to be amazing. And nobody knows he's stunk in the majors the last 2 years. But he's 20, like 21, right? So maybe he could still be really good. Milwaukee and San Fran, 7.5 is the total. We mentioned Robbie Ray several times throughout the show. Ray is the favorite, -135, good pitching ballpark, but it doesn't matter what ballpark you're in if you're not throwing strikes, and that is his issue sometimes. But sometimes when he throws the strikes, he throws them by people. Brewers, Giants, no lineup just yet. It is the Willie Adames revenge game. Is this first blood? Willie Adames revenge? Not sure.
It has to be. He's like freshly in that San Fran uniform, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure if they played earlier in the season. I don't recall.
Has to be.
Yeah, but first blood for Willie Adames. He's very angry the Giants paid him like $180 million, whatever it was. And he got the padded stats playing in Milwaukee. Where do you have the Giants and the Brewers?
Yeah, I'm the Robbie Ray thing. This is like when you talk about leverage, this is like the ultimate spot like that. This would be the definition of it. You got this pitcher that's highly owned, but you're talking about a team total that's super low and an offense that's not good, but a pitcher that can be blown up, like you said, walks and home runs. That's what you want in your stacks, man. So yeah, this is a great GPP leverage play, but just for raw like stacking, I'm probably going to put Milwaukee in tier 4. I don't love it. I think Robbie Ray will be fine, but there is that off chance where he can't find the plate, and then when he does, it leaves the yard. So it's a leverage play in large field. San Fran against Priester, a little bit more ambitious there. I'm going to put him in tier 3. Abe Lincoln, the Vampire Hunter. I think they're fine. He's not striking guys out, but he also not really letting people lift the ball out of the ballpark. He's got a pretty low, I think over the last 2 years, which is a small sample, almost around 60 innings. It's a 25% fly ball rate. Not how you hit home runs is 25% fly ball rate. So he's pretty good at keeping it on the ground, but he's not a great pitcher. I'm going to put him in tier 3.
Yeah, the lowest fly ball rate dating back to last season is Priester, 1.21 homers per 9, 16.3% homer to fly ball. The barrel rate is really small as well. It's the third lowest. We know Priester had a bit of a prospect to him as well. Going to recap the board, Chop, after I do so. We'll tell the people about Movie Monday. If you didn't know the answer, we'll explain it. Shout out to T. Carter, who took it down, a repeat champion. But Chop, the people are also going to want the knockers. We want the knockers and the BBP suggestion of the day. All right, here is a recap. This, if you guys are joining us late, Chop ranked vampire movies. The best tiered vampire movie for Chopper, George Clooney and Salma Hayek from Dusk Till Dawn. They're joined by the Padres and the Reds. The Lost Boys in tier 2, Abe Lincoln, Vampire Hunter. And then the fourth tier is Blade Trinity, the worst. There's only 3 Blades, right? That's the last one. They said that was it. I think that's it. I don't think they did anything else.
They were supposed to do another one like this year or start
there
doing
was
it
issues. I think there was
they canceled that shit.
Day Shift, the Netflix Jamie Foxx movie, is in the gutter as the last one on the board. The Marlins are all by their lonesome. Chopper, BBP suggestion of the day, the knockers. What do you got?
BVP suggestion of the day, Dean. Just a suggestion, but man, this pans out sometimes. Marcell Ozuna batting third for Atlanta against Eric Fetty. We're rocking with a little BVP there. I don't mind it at all. So Marcell Ozuna. All right, Dean, the knockers. Whoo, buddy. We talked about Selma Hayek earlier, and now we're talking about the knockers. You can't beat those knockers. You know what I'm saying, Dean? And because Selma Hayek, at one point in her life, did date Edward Norton, right? Remember, I don't know if you remember that. She dated Edward Norton.
I'll take your word on it.
And Edward Norton has ties to Cincinnati. So we're coming full circle here. We're on some Selma Hayek Cincinnati knockers today. Number 1, number 4, TJ Friedel, Austin Hayes, 1-4 in the order against Meyer. I think I foresee some home runs in this game for Cincy, so that's what I'm rocking with.
What is Edward Norton's tie to Cincinnati? I see he was born in Boston.
His dad was from Cincinnati or something like that, Dean.
How do you know that? Was his dad famous?
Because I'm tasked with doing this show, and I do my research. Unlike other people who wake up out of bed, 2 minutes, throw some cold water on their face, and they get on camera, and they didn't even research. I'm researching Ed Norton's family for the knockers, brother.
Name names, Chop. Name names. I feel like you're saying something without saying something. You would never.
I don't need to be passive aggressive, Dean. Let's just leave it at that.
All right. Today's Movie Monday. Clue number 1 was mystery. Mystery. The main character in this movie. Chop, do you know the answer or no?
When you said somebody already got it, I stopped even guessing. So okay. I didn't get my full allotment of guesses, but maybe next time. But I'm curious to hear what it was.
So the main character in this movie wears a mask sometimes. Clue number 2 is rhyme. The actor who is the main character in this movie, his name happens to rhyme. This character also wears a cape. Cape was the third clue. So they wear a mask sometimes. Their name rhymes. They also wear a cape at times. Fourth clue is chip. Chip. Sometimes you dip it. Sometimes you have cheese on it. The fifth clue was no charge, which translated Libre means free. Nacho Libre in honor of WrestleMania this weekend. Chop. There you go.
Wow. Okay. Good. Nacho Libre. That's
remember
weird.
Nacho Jack Black?
Oh, well, I remember it because about 2 weeks ago or so, we did a big board, and Nacho Libre was one of the movies in there, or at least was talked about as being a potential one of the movies. I think it was in the big board. So yeah, you caught
my brain. I don't know.
You caught me off guard because I didn't think you were going to do like repeat stuff like that. So for sure.
It was never an official Movie Monday or a Film Friday.
No, for sure. I didn't think that you would see my board back then, and then I didn't think you would like repeat that. But yeah, that makes sense now. I was never on that track. I was trying
to think of a wrestling movie, and I didn't want to like. A lot of people don't know like Iron Claw or.
Don't watch Iron. Don't watch Iron Claw.
It's a sad movie. It's good.
Bad. Wrestler with Mickey. What's it? Mickey
Rourke. It's incredible.
The wrestler's a good one.
But it's again not a happy movie. Another movie. It's not happy, but very very well done. Okay, Chop. Let's do it. Let's bring in Crunch Time. We got Kevin Roth. We have Will. We have TastefulTides. Tim. Crunch Time transition right now. All right, Roth, Will, Tim. Roth, how are things? How's Monday? Do we feel rejuvenated?
No, God. After what I watched last night, I just that was brutal, man. The Rockets, I did not expect it to go the way that it did. Freaking Steph Curry, Jesus!
Turns out he's good at hitting threes.
I mean, just the degree of difficulty. I don't think he hit the rim on any of them. Like fading away, dudes in his face, falling into the bench. Like just absolute dagger after dagger. It was tough, man. It was not fun.
Do you want a fun fact? I don't know if it's a fun fact, but it's a fact. You tell me if it's fun or not. Do you know 2 basketballs can go into the hoop at the same exact time?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Oh no, not
full size basketball, not girls' balls.
Yeah, 2 balls can go in the hoop. It's a tight squeeze, but it can definitely happen. Yeah. You don't realize that, but not taking anything away. the Steph like the fadeaway from like the right baseline. I'm sure the 3-pointer, which was just outrageous.
That was the one. I was like, all right, I've had enough of this.
This game's over.
Yeah.
He's just on his game. So there'll be times when he's not, and they'll be able to steal a game or two in this series.
I think Houston's still alive.
Yeah,
I think so too. We should have won that game.
They just played 2 weeks ago, and Golden State was fully trying to win that game for playoff seeding, and Houston beat them by 10 in Golden State. I just can't – they just didn't hit any shots last night, and Steph Curry hit everything.
Yeah.
Stuff like that will balance out.
But physically, you watch the Rockets, and they just dominated. They outboarded the shit out of them. They just looked like they were playing a JV team, and then Steph Curry comes around and just – hits every freaking shot imaginable and just killed us.
It's an interesting matchup from size, because Golden State's not a big team, and Houston can go double big with Şengün and Adams. What game does Draymond kick Adams in the nuts? Does anybody have odds on this? That's going to happen at some point.
Yeah,
right?
it's game 2. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. It seems like to be one of the series that we're going to have. It's going to get a little scrappy.
I'll give you a bold prediction, Dean.
What do you got, Chop?
Give you a bold prediction. Next year, Giannis will be in a Rockets uniform.
Woo!
If in fact they do get knocked out in this first round pretty easily by the Pacers, which I think is going to happen.
Jalen Green, who's the key piece that goes to Milwaukee?
Yeah, there's just so much to choose from if you're Milwaukee. Take Cam Whitmore. You want Cam and Reed Shepherd, some really young guys, and Phoenix's first-round draft picks.
Yeah.
Do you want just a bunch of first-round draft picks from Phoenix? There's all kinds to choose from.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty interesting call. I think that's I don't know if Giannis is going to be in Milwaukee the next 4 years, whatever it was, but things are already falling apart there for him. But okay, anything else before you step aside and get out of here? Everybody good?
Yeah.
All right. Roth, take it away. Myself and Chop do appreciate y'all watching the first portion. 40 minutes until first pitch. Roth and Tim and Will, they got you. Take it away, Kevin.
Good stuff. As always, welcome to it, ladies and gents. You know the drill. It's crunch time. It's two of the sharpest minds in the biz. We got TastefulTides, Tim in the house. Majestic beard as always. What up, Tim?
Oh, not much. I'm pretty excited for the slate. There's a lot of different ways you go about pitching, and there's a lot of different ways you go about hitting. So I think this is a super interesting slate, given how small it is. So I'm pretty excited to break this one down.
Okay, well, I'm excited to hear you break it down. We got Will, the Chief, in the house as well, with the RG swag on the cap, the RotoGrinders swag behind him as well. What up, Chief? How are you?
I'm good, man. Another day. I'm happy to be here. That's a reference from Coming to America, by the way. I didn't say it exactly like Prince Hakeem, but since you went with the word majestic for Tim's beard, I figured I'd try to pull in some royalty sayings. But anyway,
I approve.
guess, thank you. See, that's another one. You approve. Yes. So yeah, I'm glad, man. And I do like this slate. I feel like this is, dare we say, right in my wheelhouse. I like 7-8 games, 6 games. Like this is good for MLB. When you got 13 games and weather all over the place, it's still fun. But I like a just right type of slate. That's what this feels like.
Very good. Well, I would agree that this is a just right kind of slate because weather does not look like a concern. And, I like that. We had somebody in the chat say it's windy as hell in Detroit. And I can confirm it is indeed very windy. I guess they confirmed it. You don't need me to confirm it. They said it. Winds are blowing across the field, though. They're not in, they're not out. So I don't really care that it's windy in Detroit because those winds aren't helpful. The only other spot that I'm kind of monitoring is a lowest chance of a delay in Atlanta. It's low enough that just whatever you were planning on doing, pitchers, hitters, whatever, just do it anyways. Don't worry about rain. I think it's going to be fine. And that's it as far as weather goes. Tim, I want you to start things off. You said you were stoked about kind of walking through pitchers. We've got a bunch of questions about it. And I want to give a shout out to Derek, who says we need to start calling you His Majesty. so Your Majesty.
Please don't.
I think it's pretty. You got Jude Law a couple weeks ago, and now you're getting Your Majesty. I approve of this. What do we think about this slate, Your Royal Highness?
So there's 12 total pitchers on the slate, and I think you could conceivably play eight of them. Really, there's not a lot separating like the Spencer Schwellenbachs of the world versus the Max Myers of the world. Even though there's a $1,900 difference on DraftKings in terms of actual fantasy points, I don't think there's going to be a ton of separation in fantasy points. So I'd expect quite a few of these guys to land in like the 15 to 20 point range tonight. I'm having a hard time figuring out who I even want to pitch in cash games, to be perfectly honest, at least on DraftKings. I'm leaning Schwellenbach and Max Meyer, but there are definitely different ways you can go about it. And I think you could even play, as crazy as it sounds, I think you could even play Robbie Ray in cash games, even though that's like a terrifying prospect. But he has such good strikeout numbers. He can kind of take care of his walk situation through his strikeouts. So, and he's only $7,500. So he's a viable play, I think. But right now I'm leaning Schwellenbach and Meyer for cash. And then there's really 6-7 other guys that you could conceivably play in single entry. I don't think I would go below Robbie Ray. I got a question in chat about Tyler McGill. Like, I guess you can play him, but that matchup against Philly is just so bad. So I think I would just stop at Robbie Ray. I wouldn't go any lower than him.
I got a NOLA comment in chat as well, and I assume he's not talking about New Orleans, but rather Aaron.
Yeah, so NOLA's a really interesting conversation because he's 8,200 on FanDuel. So on FanDuel, he's like super, super cheap and like definitely cash game viable, definitely going to be pretty popular. He's just way too cheap on FanDuel. On DraftKings, he's still just kind of part of this cluster of pitchers, like a Hunter Brown, like a Nick Lodolo, like a Kevin Gausman. Like all these guys are kind of like right around that 8K range. And like NOLA doesn't necessarily separate himself from those other guys. So, I mean, it's really this group of 7 pitchers that are just so tightly bunched. And it looks like ownership is going to be pretty spread out as well. So outside of maybe Hunter Brown, who's 9K and he's facing the lowest strikeout team in baseball. So, but like Schwellenbach and Meyer, I think are the quote unquote safest. But really, everybody's kind of like there's nothing really like super must have tonight in pitching.
And do you have a tournament take? Obviously, you have in cash. You could play these 2 dudes, but you don't have to. For tournaments, is there where you're going, or with everybody spread around, is it just pick the 2 that you like and that's fine?
I know that I'm going to be playing Max Meyer on DraftKings. He's 7,600. He's hovering around 20% projected ownership, but all these guys that I'm mentioning are between that 20 and 30% projected ownership. So I'm leaning on Kevin Gausman. Also, I'm thinking I'm going to be going Meyer and Gausman in single entry just because Houston has 8 righties in their lineup going up against Kevin Gausman. So I think that's a pretty good spot. And I'm pretty sure I don't want to be playing Robbie Ray if he's going to be the chalkiest pitcher on the entire slate. That just seems terrifying.
Yeah. Okay. Good stuff. Anything else you want to add?
No, I think that's it.
Okay. Very good. Chief, I want to bring you in. You are going to walk us through. Look, DK, you need 2 of these guys. FanDuel, you only need 1. What are your thoughts as you look at this slate of guys who are really bunched up, as Tim mentioned?
I think I do like Lodolo a little bit better than maybe some, just because it's the Marlins. And look, his strikeout numbers have been awful this season, admittedly, but just hoping he can kind of grind his way to 6 innings. And at this point, I mean, Tim, I think I'd be happy with 5 strikeouts from him and no runs with 6 innings. Like that'd be fantastic, I think, on this slate. Do like him. I'm okay with Meyer because of the strikeouts. Definitely okay with Spencer Schwellenbach. And I for sure agree with Robbie Ray. If this ends up being the Robbie Ray that gets 10 strikeouts in 5 innings and gives up 3 runs and 2 walks, he's probably optimal by the time we close out tonight's slate. So those are my few guys. I'm mostly avoiding Gausman, Hunter Brown. Admittedly, I am playing FanDuel tonight, so that's where I'm playing. But if I were playing DraftKings, that's where I would be playing. I'm avoiding NOLA and avoiding Tyler McGill. So just know Aaron Nola's probably going to throw a gem tonight at this rate.
Yeah. Okay. That's fair. Who's got the highest upside? Is it Schwellenbach? I see he's got the highest fantasy point projection, but like, who's got the leash and K upside that can blow everybody out of the water? Is there somebody here that can do that, Tim?
I mean, it's probably Schwellenbach, and it also could possibly be Robbie Ray, just because his strikeout rate is through the roof. But he also has like, he could easily get like -5 points tonight, and I would not be surprised at all.
Yeah.
But his strikeout rate is so tremendous that he may very well have like the highest ceiling.
Okay. I always like to know, for tournaments, who's the guy that could get you there, and
that's the
-5,
problem.
So be it.
Yeah, but that's the problem. The problem with that theory, at least tonight, is that Robbie Ray is going to be really popular.
I get you. Yeah.
So it's like an interesting conundrum.
Like,
really,
he should have been like 8,500. I think people would have had questions.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree. Like he's so darn cheap that he's going to be popular this evening. So it's a kind of a tough decision with him.
Important question from Showboat King. Chief, can we play your son, Quinn Priester, tonight?
You better not.
No, don't play him. He's not ready for the big leagues.
And listen, it's actually cousin Quinn. Okay, this isn't my kid. It's cousin Quinn.
Okay.
And I don't ever play cousin Quinn. In fact, Rob, I pick on cousin Quinn every chance I get. Tonight is no different.
He's that cousin. All right. Well, let's dive into it. That's a good segue actually into some of the stacks. So, Chief, why don't you lead us off? You said you're picking on your cousin here. What stacks do you like the most?
I do like the Braves. I like San Francisco against cousin Quinn, and I guess third on this list is probably maybe a team that's slightly on the outside looking in tonight, despite the small slate. I really like Detroit against Randy Vasquez. We'll see how it goes. I just think he's one of the worst pitchers on the slate, and I'm just going to play Detroit or a mini stack of Detroit. Let me say that.
Okay. Is that it? I mean, you got more than that. You're not just playing Detroit, right?
No. So yeah, Detroit, the Braves, San Francisco. Those are my three, if you will. And then I'm kind of one off with some guys. Like I'm one off with some Juan Soto, one off some Ellie De La Cruz, one off some Fernando Tatis, like just guys that can rack up points.
Okay, and then tell me the three teams again. I'm sorry, it already slipped my mind.
Atlanta, San Francisco,
Detroit.
And there you go.
Okay, Atlanta, San Francisco, Detroit. Tim, walk me through your thoughts with stacks, and I'd love to hear your top three as well, see if they match up, if any of them do. It seems like maybe there's a lot of ways we could go.
Yeah, Atlanta is definitely going to be the most popular, and they're definitely the best stack of the night. I think it's really not really that close. Got an interesting question in chat about, is Atlanta a cash team or a GPP team? You have to think of that question as like the totality of your lineup. If you're going to be playing chalky hitters, I would try to get off of some of the chalky pitchers and play some contrarian filler stacks or contrarian one-offs. But also, Atlanta is definitely a cash game team as well. They have the best implied team total. They're priced really affordably on FanDuel, and they're easy to access on DraftKings as well. So Atlanta, I think, is the top overall stack. Next in line for me, believe it or not, we were just kind of talking about how good Robbie Ray could be. But I also wouldn't mind stacking against him with some Milwaukee bats, just because he is so highly volatile and can absolutely just walk the world. And then all of a sudden you have a full game of relief pitchers. So I think Milwaukee is super interesting, especially if we think Robbie Ray is going to get steamed.
And real quick before you move on, that's the Cheese rule, right? Cheese is Good always says the Robbie Ray rule is you should always play some Robbie Ray and you should always stack against Robbie Ray, right?
Yes. I think that's partly the rule, but yes, that's definitely in play tonight. Like if you think he's going to be popular, definitely have some stacks against him. Even in like a 3 max, you can stack. Use one team as like your stack against Ray stack. But yeah, so I do like Milwaukee quite a bit, and I don't think they're going to get like a ton of ownership either, just because I think Ray is going to get ownership. And then.
Tim, can I pause you right there real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
Who are you playing Robbie Ray versus Meyer straight up.
Yeah,
on DraftKings, where it's like $100 difference.
That's super close. I'm leaning Meyer right now.
I am too. Too. That's why I'm asking.
It's super close though. Like it's not like I don't feel like amazing about it. I don't want like in some of the maybe like the mid-range single entry stuff, like $50, $100 single entry stuff. Like I'm a little bit worried that Ray is gonna get to be really, really popular. So I just don't want to play him into heavy chalk. So that's just my thinking anyway. I could be off for sure. I think Will brought up Detroit. I do like them quite a bit, and I also really like San Diego. I like that game quite a bit. Getting to a little mini stack of Detroit, or some of the one-offs of like Tatis. Like Fernando Tatis is probably the best raw point bat on the entire slate. So getting to him as like a one-off, I think is a pretty strong play.
Okay. Good stuff, guys. Let's go around the horn. We'll talk position by position. We'll open it up to some questions as well. If you're watching in the YouTube, make sure you hit the thumbs up. This is free content from two of the sharpest minds in the industry. And
Tim, I think you just made me switch my lineup, man. You sold me. You sold me so hard.
Good job, Tim. Maybe good job.
Maybe
look what you've done.
I'm hoping this is the right call. And guess what? I had just enough money to get Tatis in my lineup, and I don't know. I think it's the right call. I'm gonna side with Tim on this one. And Tim, if Tatis wins me all the money tonight, Jersey may be coming your way.
All right.
Okay. We got to win $50K. If Chief wins $50K, Tim gets a jersey. Is that fair?
Fair.
Okay. There you go. Those are the rules. The rules are set. Tim, let's dive into it around the horn, position by position. We did get a question about Meyer really quick. Someone said, so no Meyer since you like a red stack tonight. Any Meyer for either of you?
That's who we were just talking about. I like Meyer over Ray just by a little bit. Oh. So I do like Meyer.
Okay, I'm sorry.
The Reds are okay, but this is a big time ballpark downgrade for them. So
I like Meyer tonight for what it's worth. I think people keep asking about it. I like him.
Yeah, and of course the Reds could put up 20 runs like they did yesterday, but I mean, it's just not. It's not the same spot.
The likelihood of the Reds putting up 20 runs today is borderline impossible. Like that just doesn't happen in baseball. The odds are in our favor tremendously here, Tim.
Unless wins are blown out in Wrigley.
They might. Yeah, I agreed, Roth. I will not fight you on that.
Okay, guys, let's go around the horn. We'll start a catcher. Tim, you get to lead us off there, and then we'll work our way through all the positions. We'll open up to questions after that.
Yeah, so catcher, like it often is pretty ugly tonight. It's probably an only in stacks position. Yep. If I had to pick one for cash games, it would probably be William Contreras or Sean Murphy. Maybe I'd consider punting with like Alejandro Kirk or going all the way down to Thomas Nido at 2,300. But it's a really ugly position. And really a position you just should be using only in stacks.
Yeah. Okay. Chief?
I'm pretty much in lockstep with Tim on this one. I think most people in the industry will be. And this is probably the slight disadvantage to smaller slates, Raw. You don't get the big dumper on the slate. You don't get some of these other high-end, Langelier. You don't get some of those guys that can really carry a team. So, and once again, Sean Murphy was a guy. William Contreras was a guy. Like, JT Realmuto at one point was a guy. But, as it currently stands, just a stack spot for me. And in fact, on FanDuel, I'm playing zero catcher.
Okay. Take me to first base, Chief.
So first base is where it gets interesting. Matt Olson. Ooh, I hate he's picking up this much ownership, bro. Like, he's picking up tons of ownership. I mean, he's pretty much blowing past most of these guys, which kind of leads me to a guy like Bryce Harper on DraftKings, where I feel like you're getting hear what I'm saying, not what I'm not saying. I love the Braves. Don't take this personally, Olsen. I think you're getting a better hitter for less ownership. And he's also more expensive, but that's the cost of admission here. So I do like Bryce Harper quite a bit. I'm okay with Torkelson because I do like Detroit. okay with Wilmer Flores because it's cousin Quinn. And, that's most of the guys that I want to play. I am playing Matt Olson for what it's worth in my main team because I'm going to stack the Braves. But I do think Bryce Harper as a pivot is, exceptional.
Yeah. Tim, your thoughts first?
Yeah, Matt Olson's price on FanDuel is just silly at 2,900.
Yeah, exactly.
That's just he's going to be so chalky. I would not hate it if you stack the Braves and then maybe left him out just to get off some ownership. But still, like he's a must play in cash games. I think on both sites. If you wanted to get a little different, I don't mind Rhys Hoskins at 2,600 on FanDuel. I think he's really cheap, and he's going to be way less owned than Matt Olson. I think Vlad is always interesting if he's going to be lower owned. I do like Chiefs calling Bryce Harper also. And then on DraftKings, it's the same kind of guys like Rhys Hoskins, only 3,900. Lamont Wade is 2,900. So I think that's okay. But it's still going to be Matt Olson in cash games.
It's pretty hilarious that on DK he's like $2,000 more, and he still has 3 tags from the expert, still the highest projected owned guy, and he's way pricier there than on FanDuel.
Yeah, that FanDuel price is silly. Yeah, they really dropped the ball there. But either way, we'll move on to second.
Yep.
Second base. Ozzy Albies is the cash game guy on both sites. That's really easy, but there's other people that you can play. I don't mind Gleyber Torres at 4,600 batting leadoff for Detroit. I don't mind Colt Keith if you need a little value again in that Detroit lineup. I wouldn't even mind like Jose Iglesias at 2,900 a cheap part of that San Diego stack. And then we talked about the Reds. I don't mind Gavin Lux. I'm not very, very high on Cincinnati, but I think Gavin Lux is a fine price point play. And then just moving over to FanDuel really quick, if there's any huge differences, Matt McLain is decently priced. He's 3,400. I don't mind him, but it's still just going to be Ozzy Albies in cash games. Zach McKinstry batting second at 2,800. He's shortstop, third base, and second base, so he's pretty interesting. I think for GPPs. I think Xander Bogaerts at 2,800 is interesting for GPPs. And I think that would be really about it for me at second.
Okay, Chief, your thoughts at second.
Oh, man, bro. I hate when I don't really have any additional thoughts, but I'm mostly playing those guys. And part of that is maybe because I'm playing more single entry tonight than mass multi-entry. So you get a little bit more focused in or honed in on who you want to play. I guess if I was going to add one person, it would probably be Jose Altuve against Gausman, just because Gausman hasn't had the same type of strikeout numbers that we've seen like generally, and he's not doing bad this year. I think he was in the 20s. Let me confirm this really quick. Yeah, he's at 22%, 25% to righties, 18% to lefties. So in your head, obviously, Yordan Alvarez is probably a better play than Altuve, but just on a small slate, I still think Altuve could rack up some points.
Okay, let's go to third base.
Yep, sounds good. Third base is where it gets interesting for me because, Roth, it feels like this position is getting worse by the year. There are some names today, like Austin Riley's going to pick up some ownership. Manny Machado should pick up some ownership. You got Matt Chapman. Like those 3 guys up top, they're just really good plays. I'm playing McKinstry at third today. For what it's worth, I know Tim mentioned we can get him at second, third, or outfield. I'm going to play him at third for what it's worth, just because of what I feel like is the weakness of the position. Same thing, I talked about being able to get Wilmer Flores at first or third, or at first also you can get him at third. That's mainly it for me.
Okay. Tim, third base, please.
Yeah, so Austin Riley's definitely going to be your cashing guy, especially on FanDuel where he's only 3.3. Absolutely love Manny Machado on both sites. Matt Chapman on both sites, I think, is a really good pivot off of Austin Riley against Cousin Priester. So I don't mind him. I think he's a really, really good GPP target. I wouldn't mind even getting to like Wilmer Flores at 3,800. I think he'd be an okay GPP pivot as well. Spencer Steer, he's 3,300 or 3,200 on DraftKings. I think he's an okay play just because he's cheap. Again, I don't really like Cincy stack, but I like some of these cheaper pieces of their lineup as like one-off. So that's okay with me if you want to go that way. But really not a great position outside of the top dogs of like Chapman, Machado, and Riley.
Okay, let's go to shortstop.
Yeah, so shortstop's a little bit weird tonight. I just, Ellie De La Cruz is kind of popping in a lot of spots, but I'm not playing him. I completely understand if people want to go that way. He's obviously has amazing raw point potential. I'm fading him in both GPP and cash games. That might really come to burn me. We'll see, but he's just really expensive, and I'm high on Meyer, so I'm going to fade. I don't mind getting to like Willie Adames in GPPs. Xander Bogaerts, I think, is fine in GPPs. It's definitely a position that isn't amazing, like except for maybe Ellie. So it's really an only in stacks position for me.
Chief, your thoughts to short?
Yeah, and ironically, Tim, I know you mentioned you're not playing Ellie. I am, but he's not getting the ownership because he's expensive. Like that's really what this is coming down to. If he was any cheaper, Tim, like $5K, he'd probably be 20-30% on this slate. But at 5,800, I think people are kind of shying away. I'm okay with Francisco Lindor on this slate. I'm okay with Trey Turner. I think good teams, Roth, are where I'm kind of planting my flag in terms of what I want to do at shortstop. So that's going to lead me to Ellie, Trey Turner, or Lindor. Those are the guys. I do think sneakily Willie Adames might be the best play at shortstop, though, against Cousin Quinn. I'm telling you, like, Cousin Quinn's been awful, Roth. It didn't start this season. It's been the whole – I mean, he was in Pittsburgh. This thing was rough. Like, it was just been bad. So
you've been ragging on him since he was in Little League. You were hating on your cuz.
Yeah, Cousin Quinn, man.
He doesn't got it. Okay.
I'm telling you. So I think Adames may be one of the best plays on the night. And once again, just for that, Cousin Quinn's going to come out here and, drop a gem. Nah, he's not actually. He's that bad. So
he doesn't have it.
Yeah. Give me Adames at the top, and then give me Xander in that San Diego stack against Montero.
Okay, take me to the outfield.
Take me to church. Outfield is probably the thickest position on this slate. I mean, none other than Fernando Tatis up top at 6K. I think I caught a stat today, which I feel like I knew this, but it's like when you hear it out loud, I think Kyle Schwarber, hasn't he got on base like every game this season or something like that? Every start? It's something crazy. Tonight he faces Tyler McGill. You got Mr. Juan Soto, who just is so good and keeps stacking up fantasy points, Roth. And so I like him. And yeah, I'm talking about the guys up top, but when I talked about Houston, I did mention Yordan Alvarez might actually be the best play in Houston tonight. Going against Gausman, who early in the season, only 18% K rate to lefties. Alvarez could absolutely do some damage here. Give me Jung-Hoo Lee. This guy, came over from the KBO and is racking up fantasy points galore, Roth. So like him quite a bit. I mentioned Detroit. I like Riley Green, and obviously he's got the triple dot tag also, which makes me like him even more. I'm okay with the guy like Brandon Nimmo against Aaron Nola. If you need something like that. Gavin Sheets, man, like 3,400 against Montero in that San Diego lineup, Raw. Incredible. Then we got the Braves guys like Ozuna, like Verdugo leading off, who's very cheap on DraftKings at 3,300. Ownership at 17%. Unbelievable, Rob. I think that's a bit too high. But you can't hate on a leadoff hitter from the Braves in this spot. So those are some of my favorites.
Good stuff. Tim, your thoughts there in the outfield?
Yeah, Tatis is probably my favorite raw point outfielder on the day, followed by Marcell Ozuna, and then probably Yordan Alvarez would be my next favorite for raw points. Alex Verdugo is basically a must-play in cash games. He's 3,300 batting leadoff for Atlanta.
I mean, isn't his price like free today, Tim?
Yeah, he's
free.
Yeah, he's way too cheap. Oh, and another cheapie that might be like a pivot off some of these other cheap outfielders is Terso Ornelas for San Diego, batting 5th. He's the stone min on both sites. Yeah, so you can like that makes that Padres stack just so much cheaper. So you could definitely add him as a stack or just as a pivot off of like the cheap Alex Verdugo chalk. Some guys in the mid range, maybe like a Riley Green at 4,300. I think that's a really nice play. Yasser Radusky, 4,200. I think that's a pretty solid mid range play as well. Yeah, I think that Chief pretty much covered all the other guys that I was going to mention. So yeah, I think we're good to get to some QQs if you want to, Roth.
Okay. Excellent pronunciation of Yasser Radusky, by the way. That was very well done. Let's give the people some home run calls. Mr. Greg says, I need Chiefs K of the bidet.
It's actually Meyer over 5.5 strikeouts.
There you go. Okay. How about some bomb calls? Tim, you got a couple names for me? Maybe somebody up top, somebody a little sneakier?
Yeah, Ozzy Albies is plus 650 on DraftKings, so I do like him quite a bit.
Okay.
He's gonna be somewhat popular in DFS, but I think those are really good home run odds. So I do like him. I just bet that one. I'm trying to find somebody for the Padres. Ooh, I know what. I'll go Riley Green plus 550.
Very good, Chief. You got a few names.
Well, I don't really have the odds, but I'm going to roll with Yordan Alvarez today. Really like him. Give me Willie Adames against Cousin Quinn. I'm going to let's go chalky here. This is probably a chalky call. Give me Matt Olson against Eric Fetty. And then let's go with maybe what might be a little bit sneaky, even though I do really like Detroit. I'm not sure how many people are like rushing to play a Detroit home run props, but that's going to be none other than Riley Green, 215 ISO this between last year and this year against right-handed pitching and, going against the low strikeout Randy Vasquez. So I like him quite a bit.
Okay, good stuff, guys. So we have about 7-8 minutes until lock. We've got some questions coming in. While right before I hit this read, Dean says, for His Royal Highness King Tides, any NHL takes tonight?
I got nothing. I was too busy researching baseball.
That's fair. Let me make sure I hit this promo read. Yeah. Ooh. Oh man. Can we hit the boo thing again? I wasn't signed in, so I didn't have my read up. Thank you. All right, here it is. I want to make sure you're getting the best deal in the industry. MLB DFS annual option. It's $425. That's for the whole season, but we've dropped the price of Combo Pro, so you get all the sports to match the same price as just MLB. You get more stuff, same price. You're getting access to content, tools, projections for every sport except NASCAR at a much cheaper price than the monthly package. You're actually saving about 35% if you go with that 6-month option instead of month by month. So make sure you're doing that. Make sure you hit us with the thumbs up as well for this free content while I dive into these questions, starting as always with the Discord. D-Rock says, Chief. That was nice. That was lovely. D-Rock says, Chief DK GPP, I'm stacking Detroit and Cincy, Lodolo or Brown.
I just think Miami's a much worse team. Give me Lodolo, even though his K rate is really in the dumps right now.
Okay. Jay Sam says, FanDuel single entry. Tim, do you mind filtering in guys like Dane and Norby as a little mini stack to differentiate? Also, going against a pitcher who will be chalk, but that hasn't really been all that good this season.
I don't love it. I don't really like it at all, really.
All right, that's fair. That's why they asked the questions. CLT says, hey, Roth. Oh, nice. A me question. My boots on the ground weather report from Detroit after just walking my dog. The wind is howling here. Will our Tiger stacks be going against the wind? Bob Seger line. Love it. Good job, CLT. Or maybe a sneaky SP Creeder will be working on some night moves with the wind advantage. Oh, the double Bob Seger reference. the winds are blowing across the field. They're not in, they're not out. So I don't think they're going to play a huge role, but man, do I appreciate multiple Bob Seger references in one question. Let's see. FanDuel Tim, 3v3, Acuna, Lindor, Soto, or Colt, Keith, Adames, Tatis?
The first one.
Oh, damn. I really thought you were going Colt, Keith, Adames, Tatis. You want Acuna, Lindor, Soto?
Is that for a single entry?
He just said FanDuel. He didn't specify what.
All right. I guess I'd go the second one then.
Yeah, there we go. All right. DKGPP, Chief, coming to you. Murphy and Green or Contreras and Harris by Atlanta Stack Class piece, he says.
Murphy and Green or Contreras and Harris. Man, I honestly think I'm going to go Contreras and Harris on that one.
Okay, it also rhymes and sounds very nice. Right back to you here, Chief. Steve-O says DKGPP straight up. You taking Gaussman or Hunter Brown?
No, it's for me?
Yeah, sure. Gaussman or Hunter Brown?
Oh, God. I think Hunter Brown's better, even though he's got the worst matchup.
Okay. Let's dive into the YouTube questions. Only a few minutes until lock. Jeff Morgan says, Tim, favorite cash pitcher and favorite GPP pitcher on FanDuel. So one pitcher for both cash and GPPs on FanDuel.
Yeah, so I would go Nola for cash, and then I'd probably go Lodolo and GPPs.
Okay, good stuff. With limited time, we are entering the lightning round, where the questions come fast and the answers come faster. If you have a lightning sound, producer Steve, you go for it. I don't know if you've got one of those. This is the slowest lightning round ever. Where are the questions? Here we go. Chief, FanDuel best Milwaukee one-off.
I'm going Contreras, I guess, even though he's a catcher.
Okay. Chief, Jim says for the Phils, can you use Rojas for a cheap 2,700 on DK in the outfield? Rojas is 2,700 on DK for a Phil stack.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. Nola or Ray in a FanDuel GPP from Black Maine. Tim, you just mentioned Nola is going to, right? Was Nola the chalky one or was Ray? No, I got him confused.
Yeah, and FanDuel, I'm assuming that Nola will be a little bit higher owned than Ray. They're kind of projecting a similar owned right now. Ray has a bigger ceiling and a way lower floor, so it depends on your own risk tolerance.
Okay. Do you like three?
It's pretty good.
That's pretty good.
Bad.
Yeah, that'll work. OS says, thank you, Steve. Do you like Friedel at 2.8 on FanDuel, Tim?
Yeah, I don't love Cincinnati today. Friedel's okay, but yeah, I don't love Cincinnati.
Chief, that was you with the sound effect?
It was.
Hey, look at you, man.
Snuck it in under the radar.
That was impressive. Doing double time here, producing and giving content. Let's see here. Let's see if you can answer some questions as well, Chief. This is DK Cash. It is a 2v2. Soto and Yanier Diaz or Tatis and Kirk?
Give me Tatis and Kirk, man.
We'll go to Tankenstein. I love that name. Do you know Yastrzemski's, or rather Yasser Radulski's pinch hit risk?
Are you
pulling it up, Tim?
I can pull it up.
Yeah, wonderful. Okay.
It says 0% in the bat. I can't imagine that's right, but I think it's fairly low.
Okay. Yeah, 0% to me means like 80%, which means virtually not coming out today.
Okay.
Yeah.
Chris says, anybody got an outfielder on FanDuel? And he says he's got all the money. I don't know. I guess I'm confused by the question. Do you have all the money?
Yeah.
Juan Soto, Tatis, like any of those big guns.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see if there's anything on Discord. Here we go. On FanDuel single entry, Tim, since there's one clear stack, which I believe was Atlanta, and a smaller slate tonight, do you mind running a 3-2-2-1 type build to try to get a little different so that you're not just stacking Atlanta like everyone else, Tim?
I think that's completely fine. I think that's a decent way to go about it.
I have a 4-2-1-1 for what it's worth. That's
There you
what I'm
go.
running tonight.
Nice. Okay. Let's see. Chief, is Yelich okay from OS?
I don't think I'm going to play Yelich against a lefty. I mean, I'm not saying he's bad, but Robbie Ray's still going to be really good against lefties.
Yeah. Okay. Tim, any sneaky NBA DFS plays? Maybe a Brunson 40 bomb, an OG 25 piece?
I've got nothing.
Yeah.
Okay. I've been watching a lot of hockey playoffs, not NBA.
I actually took a lot of Knicks unders today for what it's worth. That's just me. I think this game might get a little out of hand. So I took Knicks unders. I felt like their point totals were their points props were just a touch.
Just too high for the playoffs. When it gets a little tighter, it gets a little tighter usually. All right, we got a few more questions. We've hit the lock, by the way. We've actually surpassed it, but we do have a couple more questions. We'll take those before we bounce on out of here. Hit us with the thumbs up. Let's see. Your favorite value play of the day, Peter, at outfield, short, and second base. So that's kind of a lot. Tim, you want to give us outfield?
Alex Verdugo. They wanted a second baseman also on FanDuel.
Yeah, outfield, short, and second value.
On FanDuel or DK?
It was actually, I don't know why I assumed it was FanDuel, but it doesn't say. So,
well, either way, it's going to be Alex Verdugo in the outfield. Shortstop's pretty ugly for value. Maybe I'd go Willie Adames if it's FanDuel. He's only 2,800. Second
and then
base.
There was this stone cold outfielder who was nothing.
Yeah, but Verdugo is only 3,300, so
okay.
He's super cheap too. So yeah, I mean, there's some really pretty easy cheap plays in the outfield today.
Okay, we'll consider that answered. Let's
Ellie's 40% in one of my single entries on.
Yeah,
FanDuel.
that's what I thought. He's just so easy to get to
on FanDuel. Yeah, for sure. Like,
yeah,
man, I didn't expect 40.
Yeah. All right, we got one more question. It was, what do you think of Matt McLain today for a bomb? McLain bomb. Anybody? What do you think, Chief McLain hitting a bomb?
It can happen.
Sure. All right, it can happen. There we go. That's all we need. We started early. We hit the lock. We're gonna bounce out of here early. I'm starving. I want pizza tonight, so I'm gonna make that happen. Tim, are the Lightning playing tonight? Do you know?
They are not. Nope, they're not.
I got no Rockets. I got no Lightning. I don't know what I'm going to do with my life and my night. Play video games or something. All right, we're going to bounce on out of here. For Tim, for Chief, for our wonderful production crew, always working hard behind the scenes. Guys, we appreciate you. We love you, and we will catch you tomorrow. You have been great.